Okay. What do we need to know in order to use the cosine rule? So we need to know two sides, and an included angle. So if I have my little triangle here, if I have angle A, B, and C, if I know this side and this side, I need to know the included angle here. So I can do it that way, or I need to know all three sides. Oh, my Lanta. I cannot spell it all today, you guys. Oh, I think someone came in. There we go. All three sides. Okay, so those are the type of problems. If I have that information, I can use the law of cosine. And then what is the cosine rule, right, is, let's see, a squared is going to equal b squared plus c squared minus 2 times bc cosine of a. Or I can do b squared will equal a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of b. Or I would do, let's see, c squared is going to equal a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of c, Marco. So, okay, so Nathan. Those are that's the cosine rule. And remember, I kind of talked about, I was going to say yesterday, but I guess it was Tuesday, that if I know whichever side I'm looking for, that one goes on the left side of the equal sign, and then it's the square of the two other sides minus 2 times those two sides times the cosine of the angle opposite of the side on the left-hand side. So if you look at that, that's what the pattern is here. And if you can learn that's what makes law cosine hard, I think, is actually learning the pattern to it, because the rest is just order of operations. So here we go. Let's see if we can do it then. Find the remaining sides and angle in triangle ABC. So we have triangle ABC, A, B, and C, and B is 13 centimeters, and C is 11 centimeters, and A is 42 degrees. It says find the remaining sides in it. So I need to find all the angles and all the sides, basically. So angle A, angle B, angle C, side A, side B, side C. So we've got 13 centimeters, 11 centimeters, and 42 degrees. Okay, great. So if I know angle A, I can find side A. So I'm gonna go ahead and find side A first. So I'm looking for this. I'm gonna mark it with an X. So I'm gonna look for that one first. So I'm going to call it a squared, even though I put an X there. So sorry. Let's see if I can fix that. A. So I'm going to look for A first. So a squared is going to equal the two sides squared. So that'd be 11 squared plus 13 squared. And honestly, it doesn't matter which order I put it. If I put C squared first other than B squared, which I think I did, because I'm adding, so it doesn't matter what order I add in. So as long as it's those two sides squared. Minus 2 times those two sides. So 11 times 13 times the cosine of 42. Okay. my variable is on the left-hand side. It's everything else is on the right-hand side, and it's all just numbers. So I just want to take the square root here and the square root here. And A is approximately going to be equal to, I'm just going to put that into my calculator. And let's see what we get. And I've got a square root of 11 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 11 times 13 times the cosine of 42. And that is 20.1. So that's 20.1. So 20.1 centimeters. Okay, now I need to find at least one of the other angles. And I'm just going to find angle B because why not? We'll just start with angle B. We'll start with this one right here. So I know side B. So if I'm looking for angle B, I'm going to start with side B on the left-hand side. So it's going to be 13 squared is going to equal 11 squared plus 20.1 squared minus 2 times 11 times 20.1. Oh, you know what I forgot to do on my calculator? And I bet it's not 21.1. I'm so sorry. I forgot to put it in degrees. It's 8.8. Woo! Remember, in Desmos, you have to make sure you put it in degrees. So I forgot to put it in degrees. So this is 8.8. So 8.8 centimeters. Okay, there we go. Okay, times the cosine of, and we're looking for B, correct? Yeah, B. So now, because my variable's on the right-hand side, I have to get it by itself. So I'm going to subtract 11 squared and subtract, not 20, subtract, it's 8.8, right? 8.8, subtract 8.8 squared. So subtract 11 squared and subtract 8.8 squared. So I get, let's see, what do I get? 13 squared minus 11 squared minus 8.8 squared is negative 29.44, and that's going to equal 2 times 11, 2 times 11 times 8.8, negative 193.6 cosine of B. Okay? So I need to get that cosine of B by itself, so I'm going to divide by 193.6. 193.6. So cosine of B is going to equal negative 20. Oh, that's a negative, so that's going to be positive 29.44 divided by 193.6. And I don't want cosine of B, I want B. So how do I undo cosine? I do cosine inverse. So B is approximately going to be, let's see, what is B going to be? Cosine inverse. Cosine inverse of 29.44 divided by 193.6. 81.3 degrees. So 81.3 degrees. And then how do I find angle C? Well, angle C, I take 180 minus 42 minus 81.3, and that's going to equal 180 minus 42 minus 81.3. equals 56.7. Questions? Okay, we've got one more problem on this page, and then we're going to go. We have several on the next page. We might not do all of them on the next page. We'll just see how it goes. So find the remaining sides and angles. So we're doing the whole thing again. So I've got a triangle A, B, and C. Oh, not A, B, and C this time. Wow. P, Q, and R. P, Q, and R. If P is 4.8 kilometers, 4.8 kilometers, and Q is 6.3 kilometers, and R is 32 degrees. So I want to find angle P, angle Q, and angle R, and side P, side Q, side R. So P is 4.8. Was weird. 4.8 kilometers. And Q is, what is Q? 6.3 kilometers. And R is 32 degrees. Okay, so what can we find first? Would you take this out?
Yes.
There's that too. Okay, we can find angle R first because I know, sorry, not angle R, side R. So I'm going to find side R first because I know angle R. So I'm going to start there first. So R squared is going to be equal to, let's see, what are they? 4.8 squared plus 6.3. So my other two sides squared minus 2 times those sides, 4.8 times 6.3 times the cosine of my angle, which is 32. Boy, that is really a long problem. Square root it to get R squared to become R. So R is approximately equal to, please still be in degrees. Okay, it is. Square root of 4.8 squared plus 6.3 squared minus 2 times 4.8 times 6.3 times cosine of 32. So that looks like it's going to be 3.4. So 3.4 kilometers. There we go, kms. So I just need to find one angle, because once you have 2 of the 3 angles, you can subtract from 180, right? So which angle should we find? P or Q? Let's find P. So that means I'm going to start with side P on my left-hand side. So I have 4.8 squared. And that's going to equal my other 2 sides, which are 6.3 squared plus 3.4 squared minus 2 times those sides, 6.3 times 3.4 times the cosine of the angle I'm looking for, which is angle P. And since P is on the right-hand side, I need to get it all by itself. So I'm going to subtract 6.3 squared from both sides. And I'm going to subtract 3.4 squared from both sides. And then I get, let's figure out what that is. 4.8 squared minus 6.3 squared minus 3.4 squared is negative 28.21, and that's going to equal 2 times 6.3 times 3.4, negative 42.84 cosine of P. So divide by negative 42.84. 42.84. And I get cosine of P is going to equal 28.21 divided by 42.84. And I don't want the cosine of P, I want P, so I'm going to do the inverse, cosine inverse. So P, let's see, P is approximately going to be equal to cosine inverse of 21 divided by 42.84, 48.8 degrees, 48.8 degrees. And then to get to angle Q, I take 180 degrees minus my two angles, so 32 minus 48.8. Okay. 80 minus 32 minus 48.8. 99.2 degrees. Okay, so on the next page, I'm going to have you guys do some problems, and then we'll work them out. So we'll just kind of do that. And as many as we get through is as many as we get through. If we don't get through them all, we don't get through them all. It's okay. There's only 8 of them, though. So here we go. So we're going to try and do the first 3 here. So, okay, we're going to try this. We'll see how small I can write. So this is A. Oops. This is A. So I'm going to do A squared is going to equal 12 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 12 times 10 times the cosine of 72. And since my only variable is by itself on the left-hand side, how do I get A squared to become A? Well, you square root it, and if I square root one side, I'm going to square root the other side. And then I'm just going to put this whole thing inside my calculator, and it becomes 13.0. Okay, sorry, I think somebody's phone's going off. It must be my son's. Okay, number 2, I'm looking for B. So I'm going to do the same thing. So B squared is going to equal the 2 other sides squared. So 9 squared plus 10.5 squared minus 2 times 9 times 10.5 times the cosine of 40. And once again, the variable's by itself on the left-hand side, so I'm going to square root it. I don't have to get it by itself. It's already by itself. So B is approximately going to be equal to 6.8. And I just put that into my calculator as is, just exactly like that. So, and then the last one, this is side A. So I've got A squared is going to equal the 2 other sides squared. So 61 squared plus 102 squared minus 2 times those 2 sides times the cosine of 84. And I'm going to square root them again. And A is approximately equal to 113.2. Questions? Everyone okay? No one's asking any questions, so I'm assuming you guys have it. If you're not asking questions, I'm going to assume you have it. We've already kind of had that discussion. Okay. Okay, so we've got 2 more problems here. So number 4, if the 2 angles at the bottom are the same, what type of triangle does that make it? Do you guys know? Do you remember? Does anyone remember? If these 2 angles at the bottom are the same, what type of triangle is that? Anybody? Nobody remembers? It means it's an isosceles triangle. And what's an isosceles triangle? An isosceles triangle means that 2 of the sides are the same. Okay, so the question is, which 2 sides are the same here in this picture? Because the only way, we're not going to be able to figure out what the angles are. And remember, the rules for law of cosines is either I need 2 sides and the included angle, or I need all 3 sides. And since they want me to find the included angle, that's not really I can't do the 2 sides and the included angle. That means I'm probably going to have all 3 sides. And they do give me enough information in this triangle to know what the 3rd side is. So can anyone tell me how long AB is? Sorry. Can someone tell me how long that side is? Yes, it's 20. Good, Sasa. So how I know is if this angle right here, this side opposite angle is 20, and this angle is congruent to this angle, that means that this side will also be 20. Okay? So that's how I know. So now if they want C, that means I'm going to have to write even smaller. It's going to be great. 20 squared is going to equal 20 squared plus 25 squared minus 2 times 20 times 25 times the cosine of C. And then I'm going to subtract 20 squared and subtract 25 squared. 20 squared, subtract 25 squared. It's going to give me negative 625 equals negative 1,000 cosine of C. So divide by negative 1,000. And I get cosine of C is going to equal 625 over 1,000. And then I don't want cosine of C, I just want C, so I take the inverse, cosine inverse, and that gives me C is approximately equal to 51.3 degrees. Okay? And then on the second one, or number 5, okay, 2.56 squared is going to equal 1.48 squared plus 1.34 squared minus 2 times 1.48 times 1.34 times the cosine of B. So subtract 1.48 squared and subtract 1.34 squared. So minus No, not quite. 1.34 squared. So can I ask a question to both you, Jessica and Alexis? Did you put the 2.56 on the left-hand side? That's the question you need to ask. Okay. So I'm not sure what happened. Let's get my numbers here and we'll see what we get. So I got here on this side after I subtracted them, I got 2.5676. And then that equals negative 3.9664 cosine of B. And I just kind of looked at my calculator and I noticed that it ended after 4 decimals, so I didn't want to round it. So I just, I wrote all 4 decimals in there. So, and then I divide by, right, negative 3.9664. Negative 3.9664. And then cosine of B is going to be equal to 2.5676 divided by negative 3.9664. And I don't want cosine of B, I just want B. So how do I undo cosine? I do cosine inverse. And if I do it one side, I have to do it on the other. So B is approximately going to be equal to 130.3 degrees. Does that make sense? I'm not sure what happened because I don't see your calculations, so I don't know what happened. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So just make sure, it's hard to do it this way because I can't see what you guys are doing. So I'm sorry. As long as you can find out what you did wrong, that's awesome. Okay, so we have 3 more, and I think they're all finding angles, and I think, let's see how we're doing on time. Okay, we're doing good. So we can finish these. Do you guys feel a little more comfortable doing, because this is the one time page that I didn't get the same answer you did on number 8. So maybe I did something wrong, or we'll just double check our answers when I'm doing it to make sure. Okay, so let's just kind of pay attention to that when we get to that one. Okay, let's see. We're looking for angle A. So I'm gonna put this up here so I can see it. Angle A, so we've got 500, let's try this one more time. 578 squared is going to be equal to 524 squared plus 819 squared minus 2 times 524 times 819 times the cosine of A. So then I subtract 524 squared and I subtract 819 squared. So 524 squared, subtract 819 squared, and I get negative 611,253 equals negative 858,312 cosine of A. All right, and then I'm going to divide by negative 858,312. 58312. So cosine of A is going to equal 611,253 divided by 858,312. And remember, I don't want cosine of A, I want A. So how do I undo cosine? Cosine inverse to one side, I have to do it to the other side. So A is approximately going to be equal to 44.6 degrees. Okay. So now we're going to go look at 7, and we have to do a couple things first to it. So in order to find angle C, I need to know the other side. I need to know side B. So I have to know all 3 sides. So I'm going to find side B first. So I'm going to do B squared is going to equal 8 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 8 times 13 times the cosine of 135. So square root that. So B is approximately equal to 19.5. Okay? So if anywhere along here you guys double check my math and it's not quite right, because I found a couple spaces when I was putting into the calculator that I did not put in the right number. So please let me know if it's not correct, okay? So please do that. Okay, so now that I know all 3 sides, I can find angle C by doing 8 squared equals 19.5 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 19.5 times 13 times cosine of C. So if I subtract 19.5 squared and I subtract 13 squared, 19.5 squared, subtract 13 squared, and I get negative 485.25 equals negative 507 cosine of C. Then I divide by negative 507. Okay, and then so cosine of C is going to equal 485.25 divided by 507. To get C, I'm going to do the cosine inverse, and I have to do it to both sides. So C is approximately equal to 16.8 degrees. As long as I put that into my calculator correct. So now I'm all doubting everything that I put into the calculator, just so you guys know. 485.25. Oh, no, that's right. Okay, great. And then number 8 is done exactly like what we just got done doing. So in order to find angle A, I'm going to have to find side C. So C squared is going to be equal to 7.5 squared plus 4.75 squared minus 2 times 7.5 times 4.75 times the cosine of 92, square root it, and C is approximately equal to, what is it approximately equal to? Here it is, 9. Okay? It's approximately equal to 9. So, then to find A, we've got 4.75 squared equals 7.5 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 7.5 times 9 times the cosine of A. And so I'm going to subtract 7.5 squared and subtract 9 squared. And I'm going to get left with negative 114.7 equals, and then I get, let's see, what do I get then? Negative 135 cosine of A. So minus negative 135 divided by negative 135. So cosine of A is going to be equal to 114.7 divided by 135. And again, I don't want cosine of A, so I'm going to do cosine inverse. I'm going to get rid of that cosine. And I get A is approximately equal to 31.8 degrees. Okay? So that's that. You have homework's a little different today.